Hello there, this is Rahul, and today we are going to talk about the AWS Control Tower for setting up your AWS managed landing zone, followed with the full length demo. Let's talk about the different topics which we are going to cover throughout this particular demo. So in the demo, we are going to talk about the steps which is necessary for you to setting up your first control tower for managing your AWS landing zone. Secondly, we are going to answer the what and why. What is the purpose of our AWS control tower and why do we need to set up our AWS control tower for managing our AWS landing zone? Secondly, we are going to talk about the single sign-on, which is an essential step when you're setting up your control tower and you're managing your AWS landing zone. So we are going to walk you through like how you can set up a single sign-on page to enable the single sign-on for multi-account managed AWS landing zone. Third, we are going to talk about like how you can set up your shared AWS account, and the initial account which we are going to set up, which is necessary for managing your control tower and landing zone, is audit account and log archive account. But also on top of that, we are going to set up our development account through our AWS control tower. And at last, we are going to talk about the account factory through which you can programmatically create the AWS account, because AWS Control Tower for managing the AWS landing zone is also responsible for managing your multiple AWS account. And of course, you don't want to create those accounts manually. You want to rely on a programmatic way of creating your AWS account. And for the same reason, AWS Control Tower provides you the account factory, which you can use to programmatically create the multiple AWS account in your AWS landing zone. So there is a lot to cover, and all of the topics timestamp you can find into the description section. And don't forget to check the Udemy course as well as my YouTube membership program for the similar content. And let's start with our step number 1. Let's start with our first step, where we are going to set up our control tower in our AWS account. So this is the home page of your AWS or dashboard of your AWS control tower, from where you can begin setting up your control tower. And if you don't know like how to find this particular page, then what you can do, in the search box over here, you can simply type the control tower and click on this first link over here, and it will lead you to the home page of your AWS control tower setup. And remember that you need to choose the region, because control tower is not enabled in all the regions. So right now I'm into the Europe Stockholm region, but based on your location, just try to choose the region where you want to start setting up your AWS control tower. The next you need to do over here is to click on the setup landing zone button. So click on this setup landing zone button, and here it will guide you through further steps like what you need to do to set up your landing zone. So here are some of the details which you can read through, but here I would like to give you few key pointers for your landing zone. The pricing. So setting up a control tower doesn't cost you any money. There will be very minimal charges which will be cost by AWS to your bill. But apart from that, there are no charges associated with your AWS control tower. But keep in mind that if you spin up any services once you provision your control tower, and once you get multiple accounts set up through our control tower, then any services which you run inside those account, then it is going to occur a cost to you. But only setting up a tower and governing a landing zone through that particular tower will not cost any money on your AWS bill. Moving further, the second thing is the home region. So what is home region? So whenever you want to set up your control tower in AWS, then you need to select the home region where your control tower is based off. So that region can be anything, like it can be in US, it can be in Europe, it can be in Asia Pacific. So since based on my geographical location, I'm choosing the home region as a Stockholm region, and that you can change from here as well. So here you will find a multiple option, and you have to choose one region which is going to be your home region for your control tower. So for that, I'm choosing Europe Stockholm as my main region. Moving further, like control tower is not associated with one region. We have already selected our home region, which is Stockholm, but Control Tower is meant to control multiple regions of AWS so that you can have a multiple AWS account, and those AWS account can use or deploy the services in those regions. So apart from choosing the Stockholm, I can choose multiple regions which I want to control through Control Tower. So here I'm going to select some of the regions which I want to control. So since based on the Europe location, I will choose some of the Europe region which I want to control and govern through Control Tower. First, I will go with the Frankfurt region. So here you can see this is the Frankfurt region I have selected. Second, I will go with the Ireland region also over here. And also I will select the Stockholm region as well. So these are the three regions which I want to control through this Control Tower. After that, if you go further, then there is one more setting, region deny setting. So what does it mean by the region deny setting? So right now we have selected only three regions which is controlled through this Control Tower. And the region deny setting is that apart from these three selected zones or region, which is Frankfurt, Stockholm and Ireland, if someone is trying to deploy any services, for example, in Asia or in US region, then are we going to deny those by default or not? So for that reason, we have the region deny setting. If you enable this one, then it will deny all the services which a user can deploy apart from these three reasons. So that's the reason we are having this region deny settings over here. But for the time being, I will not enable this particular setting. I will just stick with, I will just be a little bit lenient on this particular setting. After that, click next over here. And the first thing which you will see over here, the organization unit, which a suitable name which you can put for your organization unit when you're trying to set up your Control Tower. So the foundational OU. So since this is our first Control Tower setup in my AWS account, then what is your foundational organization unit? So here you can put some suitable name for your landing zone. So what I will do, not landing zone, but for your organization unit. So here what I will do, I will put a name, Rahul Core OU. So this is going to be the core OU, and then in that OU, I can create a multiple hierarchy from that particular OU. So this OU is going to be the root of my all the OUs. All right. Apart from that, here, if you want to create additional OU, then you can also create from here. But let's keep the things simple and just do the minimal thing which is required for setting up the landing zone. So I will just create my foundational OU, which I have named as a Rahul Core OU. Apart from that, I'm not going to create any additional OU. But remember, the additional OU, you can create it later as well. So I will select the option opt out of creating OU. After that, click on next. Now this is important. So once you move to the next step, then you need to create some shared account, and these shared account are going to be common for all other account in future you are going to create. And what are these two accounts? So there are two accounts which is really important for setting up a landing zone, which is a log archive account, and second one is the audit account. So these are the two accounts which will be created as a part of your Control Tower landing zone setup. So here what you need to do, you either can attach existing account, but since we are doing it a fresh setup, so I would like to start everything from a fresh and from the scratch. So here I will input my email address of my log archive account, which I want to associate, because to create a fresh log archive account, I need to supply the email ID of that particular account. Similarly here, I will not choose existing one, but instead I will choose create a new audit account for this Control Tower landing zone setup. Now to create the log archive account, so here I need to input the email ID. So I'll copy my email ID from my notepad and paste over here. So this is going to be the email ID associated with my log archive account. And similarly for audit account, I'm also going to copy my email ID for audit account for the AWS. So this is the email ID of my audit AWS account. After that, I just need to verify the things and the management account. So this is the management account, or this is the root account through which I have registered myself to AWS, so that I cannot modify it. And after that, it looks good. Then I'm going to click on next over here. And here there are a few more additional configuration which you need to verify. And here it is asking like how you're gonna manage the access to multiple AWS account which you are gonna set up through this control tower of your AWS. Because you're setting up the AWS control tower to manage your landing zone of AWS, in which you can have a more than one AWS account. And how you're gonna manage the permissions of those AWS account, that you need to tell over here. So there are couple of options. So first option is AWS IAM Identity Center, and which is a really good option or a service which is provided by AWS to manage our access to our AWS account, and you can manage multiple AWS account permission through the IAM Identity Center. Apart from that, there is also one more option which is a self-managed AWS account management, but I would highly recommend to stick with the Identity Center because it is going to provide most of the feature out of the box for you. Apart from that, there are like AWS cloud configuration. So here you can just set enable. So you can have the Guardrail configuration enabled so that you can know what are the things happening. And if something goes wrong with your control tower landing zone setup, then you can easily investigate through the Guardrail. Secondly, the log configuration in Amazon S3, this is optional, so which we can set it up later. So it is not mandatory for us to set it up right now. Apart from that, KMS key encryption, so this is also optional, so I will not choose that one. AWS backup, do you really want to enable the AWS backup right now? So let's skip this part, we can set it up later as well. Then click on next over here, and here you just need to re-review all of the options which you have selected for setting up your control tower. So this is the home region, which is Stockholm. Additional region, which it will show it up later. Sorry, I just noticed one problem with the additional region, why it was showing empty. So if I go to step number 1, and it's fine that you can jump in between the steps if you have not started your landing zone setup. So I was on a step number 5, but then I went back to step number 1 to verify the additional region setting. So what thing I noticed over here is that I have not selected this checkbox mark over here, so that I can select the Ireland and Frankfurt region for my additional region setup, and Stockholm is my home region for that one. So I have checked these two regions so that those will pop up into the additional region settings. After that, just again click on next, and rest of the details are going to be the same over here. I'm not changing anything. And let's go to the final step, which is this one, and now it is showing it up. So just keep in mind, just select those regions which you want to be the additional region. So home region is going to be Stockholm, additional is going to be Ireland and Frankfurt. Foundational OU name, that is going to be Rahul Core OU, additional OU, so I'm opting it out. Management account, yeah, this is the management account. This is the log archive account. This is the audit account for my AWS. There will be a verification mail which will be sent to these email IDs, so we need to verify those account as well. Apart from that, account access configuration, it is enabled through identity center management, AWS Identity Center actually. And after that, the log configuration for S3. So this is the default logging setting. I'm just keeping it with my control tower. And AWS Guardrail, so I have enabled it for any kind of a debugging, which I need to do later on. And I think everything looks good. So here I need to click on I understand the permission. It is just a normal terms and condition which you need to provide the acknowledgement to set up your control tower. And if everything looks good over here, then you can just click on the setup landing zone over here. And then it will start the process of setting up the AWS landing zone, and this might take a little bit of more time to set it up. And here you can see the process has started, and it is saying that it is going to take around 60 minutes. So you need to be a little patient about this particular process. It might take roughly around the 60 minutes or maybe a little bit less. But I'll be back and I'll keep on showing the update as it moves ahead with the progress of setting up our landing zone through the control tower. So after a few minutes, as you can see, the progress has reached till 3%, and here you can see there are 3 accounts which has been created, 1 organization unit has been created, and here are some more details which you can find that this is the name of organization unit, these are the account which has been enrolled successfully. So it is ongoing, and as you can see now it has immediately progressed till 28%. So it will not take around 60 minutes, but it will be a lot quicker. But I'll wait and I'll give you a next update when it finishes up or it shows something new in terms of update. Alright, so after about half an hour, my control tower setup has been completed, and as you can see, the status message shows green, which means it is ready for consumption. And here you can see there are 2 organization unit has been set up, 3 shared account has been set up, and you have selected identity access management configuration. I'll explain to you once again in a more diagrammatic way so that it is easy for you to understand. And also it has set up a 20 preventive controls, which you can also see from the bottom. So here you can see there is 1 organization unit and all of these are clickable. So if you click on this one, then you can see the organization unit which you have selected. Okay, let me go back and okay, so here if you click on this organization unit, so yeah, it is at the bottom. So Rahul Core OU, so that's the organization unit which I have put when I was creating this control tower. So if you scroll to the top, here you can see 20 preventive controls, and there are 3 detective controls along with the 3 accounts. So you can just click on this 3, and here you can see the 3 account. One is the log archive account, and this is our main account, which is our root account, and this is the third one, which is our audit account. And apart from that, there are 20 preventive and 3 detective control, which you can also take a look, which is a part of our control tower setup. So these are 20 preventive control which has been set up by default from the AWS Control Tower. A very brief pause over here. If you're liking these kind of a content on a cloud, then I have a membership program which is running onto my channel where I publish the similar kind of a topics for only my YouTube member, which are close to like an industry standard which we follow, and those topics are not available onto the public section of my YouTube. So if you're really liking these kind of a content, then please consider joining to this membership program where we have a pro, intermediate and beginner level where you will find a lot of content for AWS Cloud, Azure and Google Cloud as well. And along with that, I'm also covering the Terraform and some Jenkins and how you can set up your own DevOps project. And also I have recently launched the Azure course. If you are really interested in learning Azure, then this is my Udemy course which you can also follow. Let's get back to the topic. Okay, before we further move, I would like to take a pause and explain to you what we have done so far and what we need to do as a next step after we created our control tower. So we started the control tower setup in our AWS account, and in this AWS account we have started with the 3 region. So here you can see this is our Stockholm, which is going to be our home region, and apart from that we have selected a Frankfurt and we have selected Ireland as our region which is controlled through our this particular control tower. So these are the 3 regions where we will be playing and deploying our services. Apart from that, we have created 2 accounts. One is our log archive account and one is our audit account. And there was one more account which is a master account which was already there, because through this account I have created my first AWS account. So that is going to be the master account through which my billing and everything is running. So this is going to be a master account for me throughout this whole chapter or throughout this whole series. All right. So, okay. So keep in mind that this is our master account or a root account. So these are the 2 intermittent terms which you will hear from me in this whole chapter. Okay, so now we need to focus on these 2 accounts, which is log archive and the audit account going further. Anyway, my whole idea is just to show you that we are having 3 accounts now with our AWS. Apart from that, in our Stockholm region, which is our home region, where we have set up AWS Identity Center also, which means we will also have a SSO here in this particular region, in this our AWS Identity Center, where we are having into our Stockholm region. And apart from that, our Frankfurt and Ireland regions are controlled with this control tower, but those are pretty much empty. There is nothing more into those two regions. Only the difference is, since our Stockholm region is our home region, so we have to set up the AWS Identity Center into the same region where we are trying to set up our control tower. Now, one more thing over here. So after I set up my AWS Identity Center, which means I am also setting up my SSO, single sign-on, because we are now playing with the 3 accounts. So all of these 3 accounts need to have a single sign-on. I'll show you that one also, so don't worry about. But since Stockholm is going to be our home region, so we have to set up the SSO, and that SSO comes as a part of Identity Center. So once we have enabled the AWS Identity Center in our Stockholm region, which means we have also enabled the single sign-on into our Stockholm region. So just keep in mind that these are the things which are happening behind the scene once you are setting up the control tower and you are selecting Stockholm or any other region as your home region for your control tower. Now here comes the question. So now we have set up the control tower, which is this one. We have set up the 3 account. One is the master account, which was already set up, and apart from that, we had a log archive account and audit account. How they are gonna perform the login? So that is the question which you will get. So for that, what will happen is, if I go to the next slide, then our single sign-on, as soon as you set up your control tower, then single sign-on will send a URL to your master account. This is the master account on which we are gonna receive a single sign-on URL. I'm just gonna show to you. And through that single sign-on URL, you just need to set up a password. And once you set up a password, then you are able to log in into your AWS account without a problem. And there you will see all of the 3 accounts through which you can just switch in between those 3 accounts. Yeah, I know it is a little bit complicated, but I'll show you right away. Alright, for single sign-on URL, so here you can see I have got the invitation and the URL link which is sent to my root account. So which you can see over here. So this is my master account on which I have got the invitation for a single sign-on URL. So which you can see from here that this is the access URL which I can use for single sign-on, and this is the invitation which you will also get to your root account. So you need to accept that invitation and you need to set up your password so that you can enable the single sign-on for your AWS Control Tower. What I will do, I will just click on this accept invitation link, and here it is going to ask me to set up a new password. So I'm going to set up a new password over here, and keep in mind you need to set up some strong password over here. Otherwise you might compromise with your whole landing zone, which might cost you a lot of money if it goes into some bad actors all over the world. So just keep in mind you need to set up a really strong password for your control tower admin. After that, click on set new password, and here it is stating you that hey, it has successfully set up your password. After that, you just need to key in your username. So here I will try to key in with my email address and then click on next. And here I need to key in my password once again. And then click on sign in. And here you can say it is asking me to register an MFA. So MFA is really necessary. It gives you a 2-factor authentication. So I'm just gonna grab my device and I will just gonna enable the authenticator app on my device. Here I need to choose the first option for my mobile device, which is authenticator app. Click on next over here. And here it is going to show me a QR code. So either you can use the Microsoft Authenticator or Google Authenticator app installed onto your mobile device. So I'm going to disconnect my camera and I'm just going to set up my authentication for multi-factor authentication for my control tower associated with my AWS account. Here you can see in the second step, you need to enable the QR code, and you can scan by using your Google Authenticator or Microsoft Authenticator app. And once you authenticate this QR code, or not authenticate, but you scan your QR code through your Microsoft Authenticator or Google Authenticator, then it is going to show you some 6-digit code which you need to enter. So here you can see this is the authenticator code. Here I need to enter those 6-digit codes. So here I'm gonna enter my code and then click on assign MFA. And here you can see authenticator app has been registered. Then click on done over here. And now you are authenticated. Now here you can see after my MFA setup, here this is my single sign-on page, and here you can see audit, log archive, and the master account. So if you expand all of it, then you will see all of the details and the role associated with it. So this is my master account, and apart from that, this is our log archive account, and this is our audit account. And this is the URL, which is a single sign-on URL, which I have just explained, which we have got through this particular email ID, which is our root email ID. And the URL which you can see over here is same as this one. So you need to bookmark this URL because this is the URL you are gonna use now on to access your AWS Landingzone or a AWS account to manage and deploy your services. Alright, so now I hope that this particular slide which you can see, which I have explained, so this AWS Control Tower, the account, which is our log archive, master, and the audit account are connected with your single sign-on, and all of these are now making sense, like how everything is connected with each other when we are trying to set up our control tower. And also, if you don't forget to check the inbox of your log archive email ID, which I have created. So here you can see you will start getting those emails, which is like, hey, your subscription is now activated and you are now a part of a control tower. So these are just emails which will like come to your inbox for your log and audit account, which you have associated with your control tower. But also that you just need to do the confirm. So here you just need to click on confirm subscription. So subscription is now confirmed. That means you have verified your account. Similarly, let me check over here. I think this we have already confirmed, which I can see. Yeah, everything is confirmed over here. So similar activity I need to do for audit account as well. So this is my welcome email. This is a subscription confirm. So I'll go and confirm the subscription. And I think this is also the same thing, which I will do it. I think this is the duplicate mail, which I'm getting, I guess. Yeah, these all are duplicate mail. But anyway, these notification will come to your inbox and you need to confirm this subscription so that your account are verified with your log archive and with your audit account, which you have set up onto your control tower. Alright, so now we have set up the control tower, and what are the features which you will get out of our control tower. So one of the coolest feature of our AWS control tower is the account factory, which you can see. So as soon as we have provisioned our control tower, it will create an account factory as a launch product, or you can say a service catalog product for us. I'll show you like how you can use it and create your account. So with this account factory, you just need to key in few of the detail and then it will create an AWS account for you. So what benefit you will get over here? So suppose if in an organization you have a multiple team. So using this control tower, what you can do, you can create further OU, or you call it organization unit. And in this organization unit, you can create multiple accounts. So for example, here is the one OU1. And here is the another OU, which is OU2 over here. So in these OU1 and OU2, you can easily create an account 1 over here, which will be for OU1. Sorry for my writing over here because I'm using mouse over here. So here you will get account 1, and here also you will get account number 2. And this all are created through account factory. So you just need to use that service catalog product, and that service catalog product will help you to create those accounts with the help of Control Tower. And all the guardrail and policy which you have configured over here will be applied onto those accounts as well. So it will be a very centralized way of managing how you control your account, how you create your account, and how you apply the guardrail and policies onto those accounts using the Control Tower. Now, how to access that service catalog product? So this is our single sign-on page, which I have just explained to you. And here you need to go to your master account, and in that master account, you will find the administrator access, and one is service catalog and user access. So you need to choose the service catalog and user access role, and it will open a new tab in your browser. And here in the search box, you need to type service catalog, go to the service catalog over here, and here you will find the option for a AWS Control Tower account factory. And this product, which if you click on launch, then it will launch a product factory which will create a product for you. There is some error in this particular launch product, but we are going to take a look later on. But the key thing to remember over here is that this is the product which we are going to use again and again to launch or create a fresh new account which you can share with your other team, which they can consume to deploy their services. All right, so before we launch or before we create our first account through this account factory, there's also one more thing which we need to enable is the AWS config. So for that, I'll close this particular tab over here, and I will go to my administrator access account in my AWS single sign-on page. So here, just go to this particular single sign-on page and choose the root admin access, and here you need to type AWS config. And this AWS config is really necessary for you to enable it to use your Control Tower. So here you can see set up a AWS config. So I will just say get started. And here it will say recording strategy. So all resource type with the customizable attribute. So you can just select the default option over here, and it will start recording all of the configs which we will be using throughout our Control Tower. Alright, so before we launch and create our first account through this account factory, there is also one more settings which we need to enable, and the setting is AWS config. So I'm going to close this tab over here because we need to switch the role. So again, go back to your single sign-on page, and in the root account here, you need to choose the administrative access role. So click on this and open it into new tab. And here, once it opens, then go to search box and type AWS config over here. Click on this AWS config. And here you just need to go and click on one-click setup or get started. Get started is a bit more detailed, but one-click setup, it will just be a little bit quicker. And initially you can just enable the default config, and the config is pretty much the recording, which means it is just going to collect all the records for the cloud trail, which you are doing throughout all of your AWS accounts. So for example, in your AWS Landingzone, there are 100 accounts. So this config will enable you to record all of the events which are happening into those hundreds account, which is managed through the Control Tower. Okay, so I'll just do one-click setup over here, and here you can see these are the resource type and resource type with the default setting. So I'm just going with the default setting over here, which we will try to customize as we go on. Okay, so I'll just keep everything over here, click on confirm over here. And here you can see it is just creating the config for us. It might take a few minutes, so I'll be back once it's ready. Oh, it was quick. And here you can see everything is ready over here. So here you can see the compliance status, since it is very new, so everything is 0 and there is nothing in non-compliant status. So it is a good overview or a dashboard which shows that how many accounts are in compliant, which policies are non-compliant. So it just gives you a very good look onto your landing zone and all the accounts associated with that landing zone. Alright, so now we have enabled the AWS config, so I'll just close it and I'll just go back to my service catalog role on the single sign-on page, go to that one. And here on the search box, you need to type the service catalog. Click on the service catalog. And here you just need to click on this account factory service catalog over here. And here you just need to click on launch product. And as soon as you will click on this launch product, then you will get an error which it says that there are some parameters which are null. And there are one more thing which we need to fix in our root account. So for that, what I'll do, I'll just go to the single sign-on page, and here we need to log into our AWS Administrator Access account because we need to create a new OU before even you can create or launch our account factory. So I will close this particular tab from here. I will go to Administrator Access, go to our home page of our administrator or a root account, and here you just need to type the control tower. Click on the control tower over here, and here you need to go to the organization, and here you can see this is the OU which we have created, but that OU is only limited to the org audit and log archive account. But now we need to launch a new account, and that account we need to launch it through our service catalog product. But for that we need to create a OU here. So here this is our root OU, and inside that we are going to create our development OU. So for that, what you will do, you will just go to create account, create organization unit. Here you need to type the OU name. So here I will put development OU. And the parent OU or the root, we need to select it as a root OU over here. Click on add. And here you can see it is just creating a development OU. So here the development OU has been created, but it will take some time. So here you can see it is in progress. So if you click on here, then here you will see the baseline state is in progress, and it will take around 5 minutes to get it provisioned properly. Once it is provisioned properly, then I'll back and I'll try to provision our account using through the account factory. And here you can see after a minute or so, my development organization unit has been created. And if you click on this organization, go down, and here you can see the development OU has been created, and the baseline state, just be careful that it has to be succeed. So here you can see development OU, and it is succeeded, which means now we are ready to provision and create our account through the account factory. Now I will switch back to our service catalog user account. So here I will just close this one, and here this is the root admin, but I will choose the service catalog role over here. So click on that, open the new tab over here, and here just go to the service catalog, which you can type it from here, the service catalog. And here you will find a service catalog which we got through our control tower setup. Click on it and click on launch product over here, and here you will see that error has gone now. And here you can enter the name. So here I will put as a development account 1. And if you scroll down further, then here you need to enter the email. So here I will enter the email address, but here I will use the alias. So I don't need to create a multiple account. So it is just an alias I am using. So I will have my main email ID as account.aws, but here this is the alias which I can use with the plus sign. Account name. So here I will just copy the name from here, development account 1. Organization unit, the organization unit which we have just created, select that one, and keep in mind that there are no extra white spaces. SSO user email ID, so I will use this one over here as a same. And SSO user first name, so I will choose as a development, and the last name I will choose account 1 over here. And manage tags are optional. Event notifications are also optional. So I'm just going to skip those one. And then here I'm just going to click on the launch product. And here I have launched it, and it will take a few minutes to complete this service catalog provisioning. And I will be back once this service catalog provisioning is done and our account is ready for our use. So after a few minutes, I just noticed that the status is still under change. But if you go to the events, then here you can see I have already got the account and account ID, which means it has already provisioned or it has already created the account ID for me. But still there are some setup which is still account our like a control tower is performing on this particular account. But that's fine. It will take still some time to get this account properly registered and ready for our use. But our key objective was to verify that whether we are able to create our account or not. So the answer is yes, we are able to create the account through Account Factory. And here you can see the output, which is the account ID. And this is the managed account from the control tower. And how you can log into this particular account. So I will just keep this page over here, but I will show you this page, which is our single sign-on page, which we have configured. So here you can see right now there are three accounts: Audit, Log Archive, and Rahul Wag, which is the master account. But if I refresh this page over here, then here you will see the fourth account entry, which is development account, which means our account is ready and it has the default permission of AWS organization full access. So that's how this account provisioning is working. And here you can see now it is available. So status is available, which means that account is fully provisioned and is ready for use. And the events here you can see it is also succeeded. So that's how we are using the Account Factory to provision our account. And once the account is provisioned, then I can close this one. And here I can go to the development account, click on this particular role, and here I would be able to view the permission which are assigned to that particular account, and now I am able to access this particular account. I hope this session on a control tower and how to set up your account factory through the control tower with your organization unit will help you to understand this concept of an organization unit, control tower, and account factory. In the next chapter, we will be focusing on more onto the policies which we can associate with the organization unit and how we can deploy the resources into the development account which we have provisioned through the account factory.